Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste everyone and welcome to the fifth session of Upanishad. So we were discussing a story, and the story was a very good example of how the ordinary human being, or even the gods for that matter, the lesser gods, how they think about themselves, how much we can be egoistic without realizing it, how egoistic we can be, how arrogant we can become. So, you know, this ego is a very interesting thing to explore. Before I re-enter the story, let me just give you a short introduction to the nature of this ego and the pride it takes in donning various facades. See, there is something practical about the ego. In the transactional world, you have to hold certain, you can say, masks so as to function through that. So this can happen, this is only natural in the everyday world, in the practical world, but when the ego is not explored, it is not understood to its depths, then, well, it can take us for a ride, because you know, you will not be able to change your masks or keep them down and function as yourself. You will not be able to have the deep peace and calmness that comes of being just yourself and not being something before somebody. So this idea, you can explore and see to what an extent it works in our lives. Okay, in your office you have to be a boss, but at home if you start becoming a boss or acting like a boss, then, well, you will spoil all relationships, isn't it? So the ways of the ego and the masks that we put on ourselves, we must know how to manage them. That is the most basic thing in human life. We all want our children to grow up and become great and do a whole lot of things in this world and become very learned, but we must also be able to teach them to put the ego aside when they really have to take important decisions, when they really have to remain focused. Then you must put the ego aside, otherwise you will never function effectively. The impact that comes from a person of deep focus, the impact is due to he has been able to put aside the ego completely and remain just as what he is, as the Upanishad says, as bare awareness, so that then he is totally unbiased in his thinking, in his decisions, in his emotions. So then he will follow the right course of action. He will take the right decisions. The ego constantly deflects this right knowledge, and the masks that we adorn ourselves with, in which we even take pride, they are actually obscuring a lot of reality, a lot of the truth in front of us. So once we understand these workings of the ego, we will function more effectively in this world. Please understand this, the ego is such a thing, it will take pride even in goodness, even in tapasya, even in our efforts to get rid of it, because the ego is an assumption. It assumes itself to be somebody, and when it superimposes upon the self, it derives an identity, and at once it starts functioning as an agent. That is when we declare ourselves as the doer of action, the enjoyer of the fruits of actions. So you will find these words, karta, bhokta, coming again and again in Vedanta. Why? They are pointing you towards these facts. See, you have assumed yourself to be the doer. You are actually not doing. You are functioning as an instrument for the workings of Prakriti. Track who you truly are, the unchanging I in you, and this will become very clear to you. Until you track that, you will be functioning as somebody, some subtle, refined assumption of yourself. and which you cling to and which gives you a sense of identity. So this sense of identity, which 99.99% of the people cling to, it only comes because there is no sense of oneself apart from the ego. Vedanta's fundamental, you can say, idea about the human being is pure consciousness, apart from all these whims, apart from all these assumptions. So when one has not explored this, when there is no Vedanta in one's life, one will naturally function as an ego with all its subtle facades, all its changing ways. So, the personality is something which is in a state of flux. It changes as per circumstance, as per environment, as per vocation. So then, what is the human personality about? So that's why, Vedanta is going to the very crux of the human personality paradigm by telling you the only unchanging real thing about you is pure awareness. The rest is donned, you wear it for a small period of time where you have to behave as that particular personality, but it is not your permanent identity. This much we should understand. In the transactional world, I need to behave as a particular person, but in myself, I am only Brahman. I am that pure being, existence, consciousness and bliss, and this alone is my identity. To get this sense, that is why Vedanta. That is why through all these stories, they are showing us, see, this is how pride comes into a person, this is how arrogance comes into us, this is how anger comes, this is how desire arises in us, because we feel the lack of pure being, we feel the lack of our true nature. So then we have to become something, have to don some particular upadhi, attribute in order to function as some particular personality which is alien to your true being, which is not your true being. So this understanding only Vedanta can give you, because it has gone to the very depths of your being. Usually, we are happy being as superficial as we are. Even in thought, we don't go deep enough, not to speak of experientially. So Vedanta will again and again draw our attention to this fact. You see, in this story which we have been discussing, the gods themselves, Agni, Varun, Vayu, they themselves are utterly identified with their egos, with all the things they have done in their past and with their capacities, and they are arrogantly flaunting their identities in front of that celestial being, the Yaksha, who is nothing but Brahman, who has come in that form in front of them. So Agni does this initially, seeing his pride, his arrogance. The Yaksha placed a blade of grass in front of him and asked him to burn that, and Agni was not able to do it. Then ashamed, he returns back and he tells all the gods, you see, something very mysterious is going on. This is no ordinary being, this Yaksha in front of us. So you all go and try. So Vayu is sent next. Vayu is the god of wind, who creates all the storms and hurricanes on earth, even the tsunamis. So he is so powerful, but he is not able to blow that bit of straw. See the conversation between the Yaksha and Vayu, that is where we have to go next. Please go straight into the third section and mantra number 9. Tasmin stvai kim viryamityapidam sarvamadadiyam yadidam prithivyamiti. Tasmin, to you who are so distinguished, tvai, in you, kim viryamiti, what kind of great power you have. Idam sarvam api adadiya. Yes, indeed, Vayu says here, I can blow anything away. Prithivyam idam yat iti, whatever there is in the world, I am the conqueror of the world. Through my might, I can blow away everything. So who's saying this? Vayu says this to the Yaksha. Again you see the same element of pride is there, the same sense of his might is there. So the Yaksha, what does he do then? Tasmai trinam nidadhau etad adastva iti tad upapreyaya sarvajavena tanna shashaka datum sat tata eva nivavrite naitadashakam vignatum tadetad yakshamiti. Which means, let me go again word by word. Tasmai, before him. Trinam nidadhau, the Yaksha placed a straw. Etad adastva iti, come on, blow it away, the Yaksha said. Tat upapreyaya, and rushed towards it. Who rushed towards it? Vayu rushed towards it. Sarva javena, at full speed, applying all his power as it were. Tat na shashaka datum, but he failed to blow it away. It would not get blown away. Sa tata eva nivavrite, and thus he withdrew. From whom? From the Yaksha. Who withdrew? Vayu. Na etad ashakam vignatum, I failed in this, I am not able to do it. He thought, yat etad yakshamiti, who indeed is this divine being? So let me put it in sentences. The divine being, the Yaksha, placed a straw before Vayu, saying, come on, blow it away, Vayu. Vayu rushed forward and applied all his power, but he failed to blow it away. He left the Yaksha and went back to the gods, saying, I failed to find out who this divine being is. So even something very small, none of them are able to do. It's just to show them that without one particular power, you can do nothing. What is that power within you? So you see, the Yaksha is only trying to goad them, teach them, what is it actually that animates your being? What is it that makes you function, to work in this world, to use your senses, to use your organs of perception, your motor organs? What is the impelling force within you? What is that power? Go to that source, and then you will not have all these silly pride, arrogance, this deep sense of ego. You will not have any of this. So this is how the Yaksha is teaching the gods. Let's go to the next mantra. Athendra mabruvan maghavan netad vijanihi kimetad yakshamiti tatheti tadabhya dravat tasmat tirodadhe. Atha, then, Indram abruvan, the gods told Indra. Indra is the king of gods, as you know. Maghavan etad vijanihi, O Maghava, know it well. Etad yaksham kimiti, who this divine being is, you must find out, you should know it. Tatha iti, Indra said, yes, it will be done. Tad abhyadhravat, Indra went to the Yaksha. Tasmat, and from him, from Indra, tirodadhe, the Yaksha suddenly vanished. So you see, the gods told Indra, oh, Maghava is a name of Indra, find out clearly who this divine being is. And Indra said, yes, this will be done. And he also arrogantly marched forward and went to encounter the celestial being, the Yaksha, but the Yaksha vanished. And so Indra kept looking all around. Where did he go? Who was he? And what is all this about? See, by his power, even such a small thing, my gods could not do it. Who was he then? And then, look at the next mantra. Satasmin neva kashe striyama jagama bahushobhamanam umam haimavatim tam hovacha kimetad yakshamiti. So then in that sky where the Yaksha had stood, he saw tasmin eva akashe, in that very sky, in that very space, ajagama, came, striyam haimavatim bahushobhamanam umam, a woman, a devi, wearing many ornaments, Uma Haimavati. She is she took the form Brahman. not Brahman, sorry, the Divine Mother took the form of a woman clad in many ornaments and divine, effulgent to look at. It's nothing but Mother Durga. You see, she is the power of Brahman, isn't it? She is the Mahashakti, the Divine Mother. So she comes in this form, and she, in this form, Uma Haimavatim, is also called the Mother of Brahma Vidya, she who reveals the knowledge of Brahman. So now she appears before these gods in order to tell them who that celestial being was. Tamha uvacha, and said to her, Kim etad yakshamiti, who was that divine being? They all asked her. So in that sky came the Divine Mother herself in the form of Uma Haimavatim. She is the mother of Brahma Vidya. She came to teach them who that Yaksha was, and they all approached her and said, Mother, who was that divine being? So here ends Kenopanishad, Tritiya Khanda, the third part of Kenopanishad. Now she will reveal to them who that divine being was. So you see, this story is again telling us you require the aid of the Divine Mother to go to the supreme truth of Brahman. Even the gods themselves were perplexed. They could not readily grasp this truth, and the Divine Mother taught them. In psychological language, in yogic language, we always say you require this Shakti to lead you to the supreme truth of Brahman, and that Shakti within you is your vital energy, as I told you. That is an expression of, that is an individualized Vyashti expression of that supreme divine power. So if that, you are able to learn from that, you are able to direct that properly, you will awaken into full awareness. You will enter into the knowledge of Brahman. So this is what happens. You see, in story format, this is how it is given in the Kenopanishad. Let's enter into section 4. Sa brahmeti hovacha brahmano va etad vijaye mahiyadhvamiti tato haiva vidanchakara brahmeti. Sa brahma iti ha uvacha. It was Brahman, she said. Don't you know? Didn't you realize who that divine being was? It was Brahman himself, Brahman itself. And Brahmana vai etad vijaye. This victory which you have won over the demons, it is his victory. It is the victory of Brahman. It's not your victory, because he is the essence of your life force. He is the pure consciousness which animates your entire being from within. So your victory actually belongs to him. Mahiyadhvam iti. But you feel elated, you feel arrogant. Tataha eva, from that, indeed, from Mother Uma's words, Vidanchakara, they came to know Brahma iti, they came to know the truth of Brahman. So you see, the Divine Mother came and explained to them. It was Brahman, she said. It was indeed Brahman's victory which made you all feel so elated, so jubilant. And from that, Indra and the gods came to know the divine being as Brahman. So she pointed out, she is the way to the goal, isn't it? This is so beautifully illustrated in the lives of Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi, in the lives of Sri Ramakrishna. You know, once Holy Mother, she playfully asked, had Swami Brahmananda asked, why do we worship the Divine Mother? And he replied clearly, Mother, it is because she has the key to the knowledge of Brahman. That is why she is worshipped. So without this divine aid, don't think this knowledge is so easy. Just to get a glimpse, an idea of it, that is not enough. Because you know, as long as it is a vritti of your mind, even if it is in the form of a very subtle understanding, it will be replaced by other vrittis. And it is a vritti of the mind, remember. So it will never be stable. This knowledge is not got through the mind, but by transcending the mind, but you only have the instrumentation of the mind to transcend the mind. You know, this is the great irony of spiritual life. You know very well that the truth of Brahman, pure consciousness, is far beyond the mind. But you only have the mind to go towards it. So then what will you do? You put it at his own feet. You put it at the feet of the Divine Mother. Align your mind, its thoughts, its emotions, everything towards the Mother, and it will directly reveal the knowledge of Brahman. She will, that is what is meant by she will open the lock and take you into that knowledge. So it is through this divine aid, through the Divine Mother, that one goes into this supreme knowledge. And that is why you see the Divine Mother is worshipped everywhere. In fact, people stop at this. They stop at the expression of power and energy. They don't even think of consciousness. Today we are using the term so many times, so you know, there are even consciousness studies departments coming up, and so many people are thinking about it. Scientists are exploring into it because we have brought it into our normal terminology. But usually, and if you see the history of the human race, it was the expression of power alone that was worshipped. And about millennia back, it was the expression of physical power. Today, it is the expression of mental power that is worshipped. But consciousness is far beyond that. And the instrumentation of the mind is not required to know consciousness, but we have no other instrument in hand. So that is why when you are proceeding from where you are, you start with your mind. You start by reforming your mind, then refining your mind, making it subtler, purer, more aligned to the supreme ideal. And finally, this very mind will reveal to you. This very mind will show you where you require to go. The final destination, the pure mind will reveal. So sadhana has to be continued. All of these Upanishads, please remember, the only reason why they were kept so esoteric and did not come into the hands of the common masses for a long time was only because they thought that this knowledge was very precious and required a certain amount of deep sadhana to know what they are trying to say. So we must rise to that caliber. Otherwise, you know, this will just be words falling on our ears again and again. So they result in a few vrittis. After some time, those vrittis are replaced by some other vrittis. And if they were strong enough, some memories they will create. That's all. You will get only that much out of it. But if it is coupled with sadhana, it will give you a sense of what they are saying from within yourself. Pure awareness can only be experienced. It cannot be thought of. Please understand. But you will use the instrumentation of your mind and make it so pure and subtle that it itself will enter the state of pure awareness. Brahmavid brahmaiva bhavati. So Sri Ramakrishna has given us this very, very important formula, isn't it? Pure mind is equal to pure Atman. So you have to work on your mind. Don't skip the essential thing. Don't skip sadhana just because we are discussing these things in the form of vrittis, in the form of thoughts. That doesn't mean you dispense with sadhana. So once we get this, then what happened? Once she had revealed to them the truth of Brahman, tasmadva ete deva atitarami vanyan devan yad agnir vayur indraste henannedishtham pasparshuste henat prathamo vidanchakara brahmeti. Yad Agni, Vayu, Indra. Because Agni, Vayu and Indra, tehi enat nedishtam pasparshu. They had gone close to Brahman, touched it as it were. Tehi prathama enat brahma iti vidanchakara. They were the first to know the truth of Brahman because they had gone so close to it. Tasmat, that is why ete vai deva. These became the gods. Anyan devan atitaramiva, and they excelled over all the other gods. So last class I told you the clear distinction between God, the Godhead, and these gods. So these gods with the small g are they are rulers over each element. Agni is the ruler of the Mahabhuta Agni, fire, and Vayu is the ruler of wind. So they lord over each of these natural elements, and they have, of course, they have very good qualities. They occupy divine offices. It is held in Hindu thought that people with extremely good karma, they evolve into these gods. So they are like divine offices. Agni is an office, Vayu is an office. So because these gods first went close to Brahman, the celestial being whom they saw, and got some sense of its power, so they excelled over all the other gods. They manifested deep divine attributes. This is the meaning. Then, as a result, what happened? Tasmadva Indro atitarami vanyan devansa henannedishtam pasparshasa henat prathamo vidanchakara brahmeti. Tasmadvai Indra atitarama iva anyan devan. Therefore, Indra surpassed the other gods. Sir, he enat nedishtam pasparsha. He touched Brahman as the nearest and dearest. Although Brahman vanished when he came, he went closest to Brahman. Sir, he enat prathama vidanchakara brahmaiti. He was able to identify him, the celestial being, as Brahman first before others through the instruction of Uma Haimavati. So because Indra got this knowledge first, he became the king of gods. He excelled over others. What they are trying to tell us is, the more you are able to get a sizable portion of this knowledge first hand, in the first person, the more powerful you will become. The more able you will become, the more clear you will become, purer you will become, more divine you will become. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, you have this clearly mentioned, that yadyad vibhuti mat sattvam srimadurjitam eva va tatta devavagachatvam mama tejomsha sambhavam. Wherever you see any form of excellence, any form of higher capacity, luminosity, tej, you can be sure it is but a particle of my effulgence. So that is why you see, to pay due respect to all beings, and especially to those who manifest greatness, it is the bounden duty of all of us. Today it's a very cynical, doubting kind of age, and our youngsters readily do this. In fact, I was in one college some time back, and I found the students even teasing and talking against the teachers. So I at once pointed out and said that when you are learning something from an individual, shouldn't you pay respect? And then they said, yes, Mataji, here afterwards we will not point out to teachers for whatever we have not been able to grasp. So if you are talking against your own professors, do you think you will have a mindset to grasp the knowledge they have to give? Learning to pay respect, learning to give due respect to people is the first step to gaining knowledge, to gaining anything worthwhile in life. So cynical, critical people are not going to go anywhere. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, that's why they say. So respecting the manifestation of Brahman in all beings, this becomes the natural tendency of a spiritual mind. You know, Sri Ramakrishna's life, if you see, he would in fact respect all the intellectual elite, glorious class of Kolkata, like Vidyasagar, Keshav Chandra Sen. Any of these people coming to him, Sri Ramakrishna would first get up. He would bow down even to Girish Chandra, who was an actor, playwright, very famous at that time, and dramatist, very good writer, composer. So just because they had these qualities, Sri Ramakrishna would show them due respect. So he is teaching us that wherever you see the manifestation of higher energy, wherever you see the manifestation of great intelligence, a luminous intellect, great capacity, bow down there. because at the heart of it, it is nothing but an expression of the divine power of Brahman, isn't it? Even a bit of the divine luminosity will completely change a man's mind and make him manifest divinity in various ways. So that has to be respected. You are paying respect only to the divine within him by doing that. So this is what is being said here, that the gods became great because they moved closer to Brahman. Whoever touches the Supreme, whoever is able to get even a small bit of that divine light, that person becomes luminous, his mind becomes luminous, he becomes a person of great capacity. So the gods became like that, that's why they became gods, that's why Indra became the king of gods, excelled over all the other gods. So they are pointing out to us that, you see, development starts from within, isn't it? And what we call impact, the source of any form of really positive, great impact, it is the transformation within. It is usually a silent transformation within the person that gives him this ability to affect others. So all of this is nothing but a bit of that divine light coming into manifestation in the outer world. A great singer, a great poet, a great artist, a great scientist, a committed individual in whatever vocation he has taken up, a great teacher, a great doctor, all of them are only manifesting that energy, that one energy. So pay respect, give due respect. If you don't give people the respect they deserve, you will never deserve respect. This is a very important message to be given to our youth force. Remember this, everything begins with Shraddha. Today we have this tendency to criticize almost anything. You will lose the goodness of life and the negativity will descend on you if this is the mindset. The more we see the positive in others, the more we are able to give respect to others, the more we will gain respect. And you will keep your mind open to truth. So these are the things we have to learn from these stories from the Upanishads. Then let's go into this mantra and finish for today. Tasyaisha adesho, the fourth mantra. Tasyaisha adesho yadetad vidyuto vyadyutada itin nya mi mishada iti adhidaivatam. Tasya esha adeshaha. Here indeed is an instruction on Brahman. Yat etad vidyuta vyadyutat, which is like a flash of lightning. And like that, it nya mimishat, as the eye blinks, it is like that. Iti adhidaivatam. So here are two similes drawn from the phenomenal world. What are the two similes? Brahman is like the flashing of lightning or like the blink of an eye. See, they are trying to describe the indescribable. So they say it is like a flash of lightning. What is a flash of lightning like? Brahma Jnana, how is it had? Even Vivekananda uses this simile. You will have it in a twinkling of an eye, he says. You just know. See, the power of knowledge is this, it instantly reveals. It doesn't require mediation. That is why it instantly reveals. You just know. Not that how did I come to know. You just know. Given this very sophisticated instrument, if it is maintained at a certain pitch, you will just know. The final realization is like that. In the twinkling of an eye you come to know. That's why here Brahman has been described as a flash of lightning or the blink of an eye. It's instantaneous, it is supremely subtle and powerful, it is unmediated, it is self-evident because it is ever present, never absent, and it is permanent. Once you have a glimpse of Brahman, the truth of pure awareness, you will have it as a background to your entire thought activity. You will remain tinged by it because you have known that to be the foundational truth of life. So this is a very profound mantra, directly pointing to how you know the ultimate truth of Brahman. So then you may naturally ask, Mataji, then isn't there a process to knowing? Is there a process or no process? You just come to know. This question has been asked many times and a lot of discussion on this has taken place. See, to go to that moment of supreme intuition, which is instantaneous, you require a lot of practice. The final realization is really, it is like unveiling something which was always there, isn't it? Which is already there. So, in order to achieve that insight, you require spiritual practice. Usually our mind is clouded with a whole lot of things. Thought and emotion is just bubbling and disconnected and conditioned, many times overpowered with emotions. So in this state, the truth of Brahman remains closed because you are constantly identifying with a whole lot of things. So that's why a clear process of purification is required. But once the mind is crystal clear, absolutely pure, you have almost become divine, God-like yourself, then only the intuition is all that matters. That's why Vedanta is talking from a very high standpoint, actually speaking. Follow the means and the end is there always for you to see. So we will stop this Upanishad here. Next few mantras of the Kena Upanishad are very, very profound and interesting. It is the essence, you can say, of the Upanishad. So please be sure to be there in the next class. Next class will be the concluding class of Kena Upanishad and then we will begin with another book. Now I will go to the questions. There are a lot of questions in front of me. The first is, karma is inevitable, which leads to modification of ego, which in turn is a major hurdle to self-knowledge. Is it modification of ego in the question? How to overcome this? See, karma is inevitable, right? It leads to modification of ego. See, karma yoga leads to mortification of ego. But if you just mean, I think here you are trying to say not karma yoga but karma, just action. So without a spiritual purpose, yes. It may lead to modification of your ego in various ways, which in turn is a major hurdle to self-knowledge. Yes, it is a major hurdle to self-knowledge. So how to overcome this? By converting your karma into karma yoga. That is why the big principle of karma yoga is given to us, isn't it? In fact, karma yoga is the only thing most people can do. How to convert karma into karma yoga? See, karma is action with a sense of responsibility, agentship, isn't it? Karma yoga is to do the same action with the same sense of responsibility but without a sense of agentship. Try and see this. Knowing very well that my instrument is functioning through a different power within me and that power is not even mine. That power is independent of me. That is the divine being and this is the instrument to that. So then whatever work you do, you will attribute it to the Divine Mother or Brahman within you, isn't it? You will not attribute it to yourself. So this is how karma has become karma yoga. There are people like this on this earth, who are actually functioning, who have become a very clear medium to the functioning of the divine power. So attempting this, understanding this very clearly becomes important. Yes, karma will definitely create hurdles in your life, in your spiritual path, but not karma yoga. Karma yoga is a purification and liberation in itself because it frees you from the sense of agentship and it makes you a conduit to the flow of divine power. It's a great purifier, karma yoga. Our entanglements, mental entanglements with all sorts of emotions, thoughts. It loosens all that. And if you keep on doing good work with a selfless attitude, in a few days' time, your psychology will change, your mind will change. So karma is bondage, but not karma yoga. Please remember, you have to do it to know it. Please read Vivekananda's small book on karma yoga. It is very, very practical and useful to you. In fact, if everybody kept that book at home, it will reorient your thoughts and reshuffle your entire attitude towards life. So keep this literature in your home. See, I insist upon all this. Devotee families especially should have a good collection of all these standard books, the lives of these great ones, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, and in the complete works only you will find Karma Yoga also, and you will find it separately as a small book also. It's all available online. You can order it from Advaita Ashram. So everything is available. Application is the point. You keep it close to you, your attention will constantly turn towards it. The second question is how to get rid of anxiety and stress about the future. See, if you are not able to maintain very calm state of mind every day through your meditative practice, it is impossible to get rid of anxiety and stress about the future. Because most people are functioning, they are not thinking, thinking is happening, they are functioning like that. Truly, they are not conscious of their thought process at all. So when you are not consciously thinking, then you are completely in the hands of chance, in the hands of your sanskars, in the hands of your fate, karma. So then anything will go on in your mind, and as a result of that, anxiety and stress. You have not been able to manage mind. So first learn that, how to do that. This is what self-development is about. First learn to handle your own thought and emotion. For that, I would recommend a daily practice of meditation. A daily practice, morning and evening, 10-15 minutes if you practice. Guided meditations are there on YouTube. Use them and practice meditation. You will reach a certain state of calmness periodically. And then this over-anxiety or stress, all this will not affect you that much. Because you have learned to think consciously. You are in charge of the thoughts in your mind. Otherwise, you are just being blown by the winds of outer circumstances and your sanskars, inner circumstances. So practice and see, don't ever leave meditation. It is the only way to maintain your sanity, let me tell you. And those who don't regularly meditate, you can see the amount of lopsidedness and imbalance in their lives. The third question is, when one does not let ego come in the way, people think you are weak. How to handle such situations? See, deep within yourself you can know that I am the self, I am not the ego. But in praxis, in the actual everyday workplace situation, you can maintain a certain particular role, a certain particular aspect of your ego, which is not harsh or dominating, but which is mild and good-natured. You can maintain that kind of a mask in order to function in the everyday world. But you should be able to put it aside when required and dive into your true being. So in the everyday transactional world, you maintain your particular role, its dignity, everything. But in your heart of hearts, you know the truth about your being. Isn't it? So this is a practical way to handle situations like this. People will not think you are weak if you are very resolute and awakened from within. When you are not sure of the self, then only people know that you are weak. If you are in touch with your true being, no matter what facade you wear, you will function most appropriately and put aside that facade and be yourself whenever you want to be also. So these things are to be done to be known, isn't it? We may know the theory like this, but you see, try to experiment in your own home while handling your kids. You have to be the father who will make sure that they build their life positively. You may chastise them if required. You will handle them the way a father should handle his young kids. But that does not mean you have only that one role. That does not mean you are only that much. You are the self presently functioning as the father of your kids. When you go to your office, you are, say, whether the employee or the employer, you are the boss, but only temporarily. So play your role to perfection, but put it down when you change roles, when you are back home, when you are in meditation. If you have all these, egos, when you are in meditation, you can never meditate. If you are wearing too many masks, even when you return home and sit for your meditation, you cannot stop your thought process. Please understand this, the activity of your senses and mind will only come to a standstill if you are bereft of ego, not otherwise. When you are completely egoless, which means you have touched the state of pure awareness, you are just pure being, you are just what you are, and you are not something or somebody. Then only your mind can become completely still, in a state of complete stillness. It can touch, and your sense activity also will attain deep calmness. So you see, the entire discipline starts from within. Although when we perform sadhana, we say first cut down the influx of sense impressions, then stop your mind. We use this language. But actually speaking, if you just explore your identity, your true identity, and put aside the ego mentally, naturally your mind and senses will come to a standstill. So the enquiry can be more powerful than the practice. In fact, in a Vedantin, it is like that. But for most people, the inquiry is not so intense at all. That is why we recommend yoga. That is why then you start by a meditation process. You start by closing your eyes. You start by stopping the activity of your mind. This process is given. See, most people on this earth are Sankhyavadins. They believe in the reality of the mind. And they have heard of a self, well, okay, but they believe in the reality of the mind and the world outside them. So then yoga becomes the natural way. But for one who has understood that mind is, it's not there basically. It is just a collection of thoughts which I can put down. That person has directly entered Vedanta. He does not even need the aid of some yogic practice to go there. Just his enquiry can lead him to that insight. So, but there are very few such people in the world. Very, very few, very rare. So that is why we insist on the spiritual practice so as to arrive at the state of pure insight. But please remember that the actual fact is your self is ever there and the ego is never there. Even if you have worked years to build it, it is not there. It was built up, so it will collapse also, it will come down. What is never built up never comes down. You are the self. Temporarily you function as this and that. If you know this much, and if you remain established in that self, nothing else is required. The fourth question is the Upanishadic terms Buddhi, Vivek, Bodh. What is the difference between them? Yes, they mean almost the same. Buddhi, Vivek, Bodh, Prajna, Samved, Chetana, Chaitanya. The idea is awareness has come into dominance in your mind, not thought. So you just know. You don't even require a thought process to know something. because what is to be known is already flourishing in your mind. It's in full flourish. So actually speaking, these are very deep words. You know how Sri Ramakrishna described Brahmagyan? He said, Bodhe Bodhukara. To actually know it, grasp it in your bodh. And he used to say, the pure mind leads to that. So here, as they are saying, you see all these expressions are used like you know it in the wink of an eye, in the twinkling of an eye. It's like a lightning flash, you know it like that. So all this are meant to show you that a absolutely clean mind will intuit the self immediately. Even a flash of it, just one glimpse of it is deeply Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat, the Bhagavad Gita says, which means even if you know a little of it, it relieves you of great fear, of great confusion. So there is no big difference between these words, but in the scriptures they may be used with a particular sense. Like buddhi may be used as the higher intelligence. Vivek may be used as the discriminative sense, the analytical sense. So you must contextually try to understand the words, but in the spiritual context they all mean the same. Samvit, Chaitanya, Bodh, it's all the same. As per Big Bang theory, life evolved slowly on earth after that. So consciousness is product of evolution of life. Then why it is called reflected consciousness? No, your question itself is wrong. See, life evolved slowly. Yes, we agree to that. Life systems, the different expressions of life evolved slowly. But is consciousness a product of life? Here, when you are using the word consciousness, you are meaning thought. This is how it is in the Western paradigm. By consciousness is meant thought, and all the different, you can say, kinds of thought. Thought, emotion, willing, volition, all this, there's an umbrella term consciousness in Western psychology. In Indian psychology, which we have been discussing, in Vedanta, consciousness is apart from mind, apart from thoughts, apart from your emotion, apart from all of this. It is of the nature of pure awareness. So it does not evolve with life. In fact, life evolves in its reflection. So then the next question just falls, you see, why it is called reflected consciousness. Please remember, you must have the Vedantic view very clear in your mind. Then you will understand what Patanjali Yoga Sutras are meaning by evolution of life, how Vedanta views evolution. The cosmology of Vedanta is like this. See, there is only pure consciousness, Brahman. When it is reflected in the mind, it results in a reflected awareness. Your sense of mental awareness which you have. That activates your life energies. And it is through these life energies, prana, that your senses, motor organs, everything functions. The different vital organs, this is how they function. This is how you are functioning as a human being. But this is all borrowed light. The actual core of your being is pure consciousness, Brahman. So in order to realize this, turn back this process. And that is why you cannot put life before consciousness. Consciousness lies far beyond life. So get these concepts clear, otherwise a lot of confusion will occur. The best way to make it clear is in a state of meditation. Understand this clearly, in checking your own system. See, Indian philosophers did not find truths by going outward, they went inward. What Big Bang theory is telling today, what quantum physics is telling today, what modern neuroscience is saying, you can know everything in depth if you just check your system. Because the microcosm and macrocosm are built on the same plan. This is how they realize the nature of life, cosmic will, cosmic intelligence, how it is functioning in the outer world. first check yourself how you are functioning, and you will know how correspondingly it is functioning. So that is why I say sadhana. Without sadhana, nothing will be clear. The next question is, can demigods have ego and pride just like human beings? Why not? They are demigods. They are not God. See, you must distinguish, make this very clear. Distinguish it. The small g and the capital G. The small g are the gods in charge of divine offices, lording over one or the other of the elements. But God is, usually it is the Sagun aspect of Brahman which we are talking of, and he expresses himself as Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the Lord of creation, sustenance and dissolution. So God is different from these gods. Now you are asking demigods. Yes, demigods are even lower than the gods, isn't it? So they will have ego, pride, everything. See, the beauty of the human life is you have been given an opportunity either to evolve into a god, the small g, or a demigod, or something lower than that, an asura, or you can also reach the highest godhead. You can become Brahman. Now, which do you choose? What do you want your future to be like? You are only, most youngsters are only circulating over the immediate future. What I want to become, how much I want to earn, how to get a 6-figure salary, how many luxury cars I will buy. What will happen after that? What happens after death? Even these things you should ponder about a bit. These are called existential inquiries and questions. So the nature of your existence, if you question this, you will see that you can evolve into whatever you want to be, or you can also devolve. You can also become an asura if you want to be. So see how what you do with your life, it's in your hands, because you are a conscious human being. Consciousness can come to the forefront in your mind. If this is done, the more conscious you are, the more you will dictate your thoughts, your emotions, and thus you will determine the goal of your life. You will reach the destination of your life. And the more unconscious you are, the more external factors will determine the circumstances of your life. So you devolve. So see how crucial is your position as a human being. You can be whatever you want to be. Should I spend time to find how this world, its economy, its people function, or is it enough to know only how I function? So I already gave you the answer. First, you should know how you function. Then you will have a rough idea of how people are functioning, how the government is functioning, how the economies are functioning, and why we are making mistakes, what is wrong where. But if you don't know yourself, you don't know the microcosm, you will have no idea of the macrocosm. It will appear like chance, fate, somebody's perversion, all this, it will appear like that. When you know how you are functioning, you have an in-depth view of how this system functions, you will have a very good idea of other minds. So then you know the aims, their aims, why their actions are like that, why their nature is like that. So then you will know collectively why people function as they do, why the governments function as they do, the whole wheel of economy, what does it rest upon. You will know everything literally. So that is why the basic thing, I told you the story last class I think, that Ganesh only circulated Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati thrice, and he got the he got the gift of a pearl necklace, while Kartikeya went about circulating the whole universe, circumambulating the whole universe, but he did not get the gift, because Shiva represents the self. One who goes round the self, gets self-knowledge, he becomes supreme. He becomes the winner finally. If you don't know how your own mind is functioning, how your will is functioning, isn't that a disaster? Tell me, how will you function in this world? How will you take the proper decisions? You will be totally biased, lopsided. So first work on yourself. That is why I say this is part and parcel of education. Vedanta is the science of consciousness and yoga is the technology of consciousness. If you use them for your betterment, you will flourish in this world. But if you jump just outside, outward, and without knowledge of your own being, then life can go any way. Please remember this. So we will end today's session here and meet next Sunday. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.